Hi folks, John Tobis here. Today we're going to talk about how do you adjust scores on a test in order to reduce the possibilities of a tie. Now, with a Division B and a Division C test, you have the timed question, and as long as people get the timed question, it's virtually impossible to have a tie. But given that typically we only see about a third of the students will get the timed question, depends on how easy it is. Sometimes we'll see half or even three-quarters of the students, the timed question is easy enough. But in the case we have students who don't get the time question, you really want to try and avoid having a ties to have to do a tiebreaker at the end. There's very straightforward ways of doing a tiebreaker, which we cover that in another video. But specifically, if you can design the test ahead of time to avoid the ties, things will work out a lot better. This is particularly important for Division A because you don't have a timed question. So how do you avoid a tie? The easiest way to avoid a tie is to make it so that questions of similar nature, questions that two different teams are likely to answer, don't have the same score. And what we have found over the past couple of years is you want to make that a differentiation both in the ones digit and the tens digit. Now, I used to do this with a spreadsheet, and Randy would do it with a spreadsheet, but it's to be a pain. And we realize a lot of people want to benefit from this. So we've added a feature into the test building tools in order to allow you to very quickly adjust the scores and see where they need to be adjusted. Now I've loaded in here a sample test. I think this is one of the regionals from last year from North Carolina. I deleted a couple of questions, made a few tweaks, so it's not exactly the regional, but it should give you an idea of how do you adjust the scores. To do this, you go into your test, and there's this nice button called Adjust Scores. You bring it up and gives you this, maybe it's a bewildering set of numbers, but really what you're looking for is the ones that are colored yellow. What the yellow means is there's more than the fair share of ciphers that have either the same tens digit or the ones digit. And what we're looking for is ciphers of the same type. Your goal in adjusting the scores to avoid the ties is to balance this so that you don't have any yellows. Now, we don't have to worry about the bottom, that's the all, but because that's just kind of giving you an indication of where you've got some place to adjusting. Now, before you get a little bit concerned about the scores, I mean, we had already made a recommendation of a score. As it turns out, you can tweak a score by 10 or 20 points and it won't materially affect how people do on the test. It won't materially affect the outcome of the test. The only magic place where that is usually when you move the score above or below a 100-point mark, because now you have an opportunity for one more mistake before the question would be worth, in other words, you get extra points for one less mistake. So as you see here, we've got a few that look like they could be adjusting. Just as a comment, you see on the aristocrats here, all the aristocrats have different ones digits, and we have different tens digits. And if we scroll down here, we can see this aristocrat, the time question is 200, this one's 253, there's a 214, 226. So you can see a variety of them. No two aristocrats have the same last digit or the next to the last digit. But now here going down, we see this Baconian. It says we have two Baconians which have a 5 as the middle digit. So if we look down here, we can see question number 3 is 254. And we look down here, question number 4 is 255. Well, we're going to go ahead and adjust one of those. And which way do we adjust? Well, looking at this, we can see overall, we've got this green 1 here at the bottom. So it says, let's adjust one of them to be a 4. And we'll pick either one of them. I'm going to go ahead and take this one, and it's now going to be 244. You notice that's no longer yellow, and we come up here, and we've gotten rid of the yellow in there. All right, another one, math one. And by the way, I work on the tens digits first, mostly because they're the ones where you're more likely to run against the 9 digit trying to bump it up. So let's look here. This next math one, we've got 2 of them that the second digit's a 6. Now, math ones are hill, a fine, depends on what division you are as to which ones classify as math. But so we've got, with the second digit is a 6. We got here this one hill, which is 166. And we've got another hill, which is 160. So what I'm going to do is we look here and we see, gee, looks like we can bump it up because we got four problems that have a four has a six in the tens digit. We only have one with a seven. So let's take one of those and make it from a six to a seven. And I'm going to, let's see, that math is fret. We look down here, lend, yeah, they're both the same. Let's go ahead and make that one be 170. You can see I have less yellow. Now we've got here, let's look at this 9 digit. Now remember what I mentioned about the 9. You want to be careful about bumping it up. So if this is 299, you don't want to bump it up to 309 unless you think it's on the harder side. In this particular case, we can see we've got only 2 that have the second digit as next and the last digit is an 8. 3 is 9, so we're going to bump it down in this case. So let's find a math one that the next to last digit is a 9. We have this cryptorhythm is 296. We have another cryptorhythm is 295. Arbitrarily, I want to make one of them be 285. One of them is 285 or 286. I'm looking at this. This has got a lot of digits to solve. This one's only got a couple of digits. So I am going to bump this one down to 85. I mean, I could have picked either one, but I've done that. Now, as you can see in our tens digits, we have no yellows. Everything is nicely distributed. Don't worry about this green down here. What it says is relatively, we've got a whole bunch of distribution with things that are the tens digit is 0, 1, 2. There's only one of them that has a tens digit of 2. We have 3 with a tens digit of 6 and 3 with a tens digit of 8. Say that 3 times real fast. So I don't really have to do any more adjustment in the tens. Let's look in the ones. Oh, one side looks really good. There's only one of them we want to tweak. And we can see there's a math, and we can see the last digit is 6. And notice here, this is where I'm going to take advantage of the green. So I'm going to find one of the math that ends in a 6, and I'm just going to change to an 8. Only two points difference on the test. So let's find one that's a 6 and 8. And by the way, you'll notice that the yellow colors show up down here. We've got a hill for 166. We got a cryptorhythm for 296. I like to get the people to do the cryptorhythms. So we're going to make that 298. And you'll notice now that all of the points are no longer yellow. We have this one green. Again, the green is good, not something that you have to adjust. It's just here's where your opportunities to go. And we are done. If you go back to the test, you can click finish adjusting. You actually don't have to click finish adjusting if you close the web page, because the changes are saved immediately. Whenever you're making the edits here, they're automatically updated. So we are done with our test. We've got our scores. We are less likely to have a tie. I mean, there's nothing that prevents you having a tie if 2 teams solve exactly the same questions, but it's actually pretty rare to see exactly the same questions answered by multiple teams. So with that, I hope you have a better understanding of how to adjust the scores in order to avoid a tie, and I hope you have a wonderful day.